Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I have an assortment of makeup here in front of me, from eyeshadow palettes to lip products to blushes that all have one thing in common. They are the perfect shades. Do you guys ever try out a makeup product or swatch something or use something for the first time and you just think to yourself, wow, this shade is exceptional? So I've gathered up some makeup products. Some of these are brand new, some of these are relatively new, some of these you may have heard about before and are kind of like rediscovered shade favorites of mine, but I wanted to share them all in one video with you guys. I have a handful of lip products, some blushes, and then some shades of eyeshadows within eyeshadow palettes that I think are very special. Hope you guys like swatching. We're gonna do a lot of that today. Should be a lot of fun. Before we get into the video, special welcome to any of you that are new here at my channel. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you'll subscribe before you leave. Also make sure your notifications are turned on. And with that said, let's get right to it. Let's go through some lip products. So these are some of the best shades of lip products within my collection, starting with a couple of nudes. So first off, this one right here, this is from the brand Sephora. This is one of their Lip Stories lipsticks. This one is in the shade Tan Lines. This is the one that I'm wearing on my lips today. It is such a perfect nude lip. I know that I have talked about this one before, but I feel like it's been a while. It is one that I often forget, but every time I pull it back out, I'm so impressed with this. Sorry guys, my hands are a little bit stained from some other things that we'll be talking about here in a minute, but beautiful, beautiful nude shade. If you are looking for something that's slightly peachy without being too orange, it's not too light or too dark for me. I love this shade on my lips. It just goes with absolutely anything. They also have this really pleasant smell that I really like, and they're nice and small and compact. They are pretty affordable. I think you can get these for under 10 bucks, which is a great price. All around, just a really good basic nude lipstick. I have another nude that's been a long time favorite of mine that I kind of pulled out and rediscovered more recently, and it is MAC's Viva Glam 2. If you like cooler tone nudes, kind of more like mauve-y in tone, this is going to be the perfect shade. If you like something that's kind of light without being too light. Again, it's all going to depend on your preferences and your skin tone. Here it is right here. It looks kind of similar to Tan Lines, but this one you can see has a little bit more of a cool tone, almost like a purple tinge to it. It is beautiful on the lips. I just used this in the video where I did the Katie Jane Hughes look. And I was just reminded in that video why I love this lipstick. It looks so good, especially when I just want to go for like more berry tones or cooler tones. Maybe I'm feeling that way as I'm kind of craving fall. We're not really moving into fall. It's still really hot here, but I'm craving cooler tones and like fall tones lately. Both of those are perfect shades for me. Both have really nice finishes, nice creamy finishes. Definitely perfect shades in my book. Another perfect shade that I reach for often, I know you guys have heard me talk about this a lot, is this from Sydney Grace. This is a Sydney Grace lip cream in the shade Bailey. I love these lip creams. They are very, very pigmented. You have to be a little careful with these actually. If you apply too much of these, like they look like the applicator would make you think that you just kind of swipe this on all over like you would a gloss. You might have problems if you do things that way because they are just so incredibly rich and pigmented. So here is the shade right here. I know it looks almost identical to Viva Glam 2, but you can see it's a little bit lighter in tone, which makes it the most perfect shade to pop on the center of your lips. If you like to lighten up the center of your lips, this is something I do a lot with like a creme brulee from NYX, but there's something about just the cooler kind of very nude undertone of this that is actually kind of the shade of my actual lips. My lips naturally, when they're in healthy condition, have a very cooler tone pink undertone to them. So I think something that mimics that natural undertone just looks really flattering on me personally. Big fan of these. I use this often in videos or add it to lip looks. Kind of a go-to for me and definitely a perfect shade. And then I had to include two bold shades that I consider perhaps my two best products when I'm wanting to do a bolder lip. First off is Persona Phoenix. I know that you guys have heard me talk about this many times for many years. It's been a long time favorite of mine. I love the formula of Persona Phoenix. I love the applicator of the Persona liquid lipsticks, and this shade is the perfect bright cherry red with the tiniest bit of an orange undertone. So this does not have a pink undertone. If you don't like bold reds that have kind of that magenta sort of blue base or pink undertone, you will love this. It is so perfect because it still is a bold red. Like it doesn't look orange on your lips, but it just has that hint of orange in it that just really brightens up my complexion. I love how this looks on my skin. I love it in the winter. I love it in the middle of summer. It always makes my complexion just look a little bit brighter. It's the perfect bold lip. I get compliments on this every time I wear it, which I think is saying something. Like it's just a very well done shade of red. But if you do like the pinker tones, another favorite of mine, this one is definitely more pink than red, is Melon Pop by Flower Beauty. This is like a bold magenta that almost borders on like red or even neon. So here it is right there. I don't know that you guys, on the lips, this looks like a red, but it has this like neon vibrancy to it, but it's not weirdly neon or magenta. It just walks this fine line between being bold and funky, but still kind of, it's not natural. Obviously that's not a natural lip color, but it's like kind of like a classic red with a twist. It's another favorite of mine. Every spring I get excited to pull this back out for the spring and summer season. It's like the perfect summer bold lip. So that's it for my lip products, just those 5 right there. Let's move on to some cheek color. So I've got 5 shades here. Most of these I've had for a while. There's one that's a little bit on the newer side, but every one of these are a little bit different but has something special about it. Let's talk about a rediscovered recent favorite, which I do have on my cheeks today, and it is this right here. If you've been here on my channel for a while, you probably heard me talk about the ColourPop Cheek Dew in the shade Hot Fuss. You guys, if you have ever wanted to find like an apple red cheek product, this is the epitome of apple red. It is perfect. Now the packaging is a little bit messy. Every time I open this up, it is quite messy every time I open it. What I basically do is just put a tiny bit on the back of my hand, and then I'll take my finger and I'll kind of like distribute it a little bit on the back of my hand, and then I will dip into that little kind of swatch that I do with my brush. I usually use, actually that's the wrong brush. I usually use this brush, my Alter Ego number 4, which is the perfect size and kind of flat shape. I love this brush for cream and liquid blushes. So this is the shade. Look at that beautiful, it's not pink, it's not orange, it's just candy apple red. It is so, so pretty. It shears out so beautifully on the skin. These do give a good amount of dew, but they're not sticky. I love this. I mean, there's several of the cheek dews that I really like, but this one is just a step above the rest. There's just something really special about this shade that I love. It looks so good on the cheeks. Very natural, kind of, I just came in from a run or from being out in the sun for a few minutes or strolling through the winter snow. It just gives you that kind of like natural flush to your cheeks. And I feel like it's kind of like, that's the point of blush, right? Isn't that what we're always going for? And this is like the perfect product for that. Let me just re-swatch that right there so we can compare some other things to it. So there is the Cheek Dew in Hot Fuss. Another favorite of mine that I have kind of forgotten about for a while. I know I was raving about this for a couple of months a while back. It is from Romand, which is a K-beauty brand that I got in Yes Style. It's actually a lip product. This is the Romand Juicy Lasting Tint in the shade Nucadamia. Oh my goodness, you guys. Now, I hope that you can still find this product. I've sometimes found it difficult to find online, as often Yes Style products, sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. But there is something just so wonderful about this shade, about the formula, about the smell. I know a lot of people don't like scented makeup. This is not strongly fragranced. It just has this very subtle, it smells like apple juice, not even like store-bought apple juice. This smells like real fruit juice. I don't know, it's just so, so deliciously wonderful. I love it. So here it is right here. Beautiful, kind of like almost a little bit more brown in tone without being brown. Like it does have some berry in it as well. It just looks so natural again on the cheeks. Maybe not as vibrant as the Hot Fuss is right here, but it is absolutely lovely. Another favorite of mine, perfect shade. I know it's meant for the lips. I actually don't love this on my lips. It's kind of like a strange formula for the lips, but I feel like this is the perfect formula for a liquid blush. If you like liquid blushes, even though I know this is not made for your cheeks, trust me, it's the perfect formula for your cheeks. Let's talk about an old favorite shade from Patrick Ta. So I have the Double Take Cream Blush Duo in the shade She's So LA. I love this whole thing, but what I especially love is this right here, the cream. Now this is actually a little bit similar to that lip product I just swatched from Romand. The shade is a little bit similar. The formula is very different though. This is much more emollient and kind of creamy and buttery, whereas this one is more like a watery kind of base. But as you can see, the shades are somewhat similar. I do think the Patrick Ta has just a touch more nude or brown in it, but it is by no means a brown. Often when I look at this product, when I first got this, I was like, that's a bronzer, right? That's gotta be a bronzer. It's not. It does have a beautiful rosiness to it. Even the powder product, which does look a little bit more on the brown side, it's almost bronze, with a little bit more rosiness in it that makes it more appropriate for a blush. In fact, I would say that this is a product that you could use as a standalone kind of blush bronzer hybrid. Like you could use this to kind of bronze up and warm up your skin while blushing your skin at the same time. It's just that type of a shade. It's so special. The formula is special, but the shade, more than anything, is very, very unique and so stunning on the skin. Another great shade in my blush collection is this right here. This is from Nabla. This is their Skin Glazing Blush in the shade Independence. This is beautiful. Now this is a very like fall appropriate blush shade, at least in my opinion, for my skin tone. I love the formula of these. They have this really soft sheen to them. Now some of them are more shiny than others, like the shade Truth, which is a little bit more of a watermelon kind of color. That one, which I also love, is a little bit more sheeny. I mean, it does give you some serious glow on your skin. This one's a little bit more subtle, kind of reminds me of like along the lines of like an Hourglass blush, kind of just the subtle like glow that it gives your skin. But look at that shade, you guys. Do you see how lovely that, like, it's like a rose with a touch of, it's not gold, I don't know, I'm speechless. I can't even explain this, which I often have all kinds of terrible descriptions for products, but this one I just feel like kind of, let's just let it speak for itself. It's so pretty. I love it. You could wear this any time of year, definitely. It's one of those natural looking, leaning, cool tone shades that look so healthy on the skin. They just make you look like you just came in from the cold, which I love that type of a look. I think it's so beautiful. These are also super easy to apply. I think pretty much everything else I'm including today is a liquid or a cream. If you're not a liquid or a cream fan, you're looking for a good powder shade, well, this one has you covered. I feel like this is a shade that would work for so many different skin tones. It's lovely. And the last perfect shade I wanted to highlight is this one right here. This is Persona's Dream Stick Blush in the shade Bubble. I also love the shade Kiss. I almost included that one, but I decided to go with Hot Fuss instead because this kind of reminds me of Kiss. In fact, shall we swatch Kiss just so you guys can kind of see how it looks compared to Hot Fuss? Kiss definitely has more pink base in it. Like when I blend out Hot Fuss, it doesn't blend to a pink. It diffuses but stays that kind of red, whereas some red tones, as you blend them, will blend out to more of a pink. And that's kind of what this one does. You can see it has more of like a magenta base to it, which I also love. It is beautiful. I have to be super light-handed with this one, but it gives such a beautiful pop of bold kind of reddish pink to the cheeks that I really love. But I wanted to mention Bubble because I just think this is a very different kind of shade. Now, if you have tried the powder version of Bubble, I also love that one, but there's something extra special about the cream. I generally feel that way with most, unless there's something about the formula that makes it look more creamy, which I actually think this one from Nabla does because it has that kind of subtle illuminating effect, which my skin just really tends to need. I just feel like anything too matte on my cheeks just looks dry. It doesn't do my skin favors. That might just be in my head, but that's one of the reasons that I prefer creamier or liquid cheek products. So here's the shade Bubble. I know that it looks very, very intense and bold, but you guys, this is such a fun pop of pink to put on the cheeks, especially if you have a really good bronze look going on. Then you pop a little bit of this just in the center. It just looks so good. Like I think it would look good on absolutely anyone. It's very, what's the word? I'd almost say it's like youthful looking. Like when you put just a pop of like a vibrant pink on your cheeks in the right spots with a nice bronze glow, maybe a little bit of highlighter on. It just gives you this like really young, vibrant, fresh kind of look that I really love. Very special shade, fantastic formula. Big fan of all the Dream Stick blushes. I've been loving and reaching for all of them, but this one, there's something especially special about this color. Okay, my hands are wiped off. Let's move into a couple of eyeshadow shades. I'm gonna try and just kind of breeze through this and not talk too much. I feel like I've already been talking too much. Let's just get into it. So let's start with this palette right here. This is the Natasha Denona Mini Biba palette. This shade in the center here probably looks like nothing special. There's a lot of shades that I love for my lid, but once in a while there's a shade that's like the most perfect shade for my lid. It walks that perfect line of being nice and sparkly and brightening without being too icy, but it's also not too dark. If something's more like mid-tone, it just doesn't tend to work too well for my eyes, especially for an all over the lid kind of a shimmer. I need something that has some brightness to it, but I also sometimes don't like to go too icy. So this is one of those perfect shades. It is this beautiful, sparkly shell pink that has this very subtle kind of taupiness to it. It is so incredibly flattering. I love this shade particularly. I love this whole palette. Honestly, I feel like this was a little bit underrated. I think this is so, so good. And that shimmer in the center, I just don't know that you can get a better pink than that for your lid. Then I have this palette right here. I just got this palette literally 6 days ago. Kind of feel stupid talking about it this early, but I'm telling you guys, this is one of those situations that I described once in a while you swatch something or see something and you're like, yes, 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 that is the perfect shade. I am talking about the Sydney Grace Coffee Talk palette, and this shade right here in the corner, which is the shade what is that? Sorry, I've never actually read this shade before. Ristretto. This whole palette is so good. I wanted to mention this in my favorites video, or I actually even wanted to rank it in my ranking video. I'm like, come on, Mandy, hang on. You've only had it for 5 days. But let's just talk about this Ristretto shade, you guys. If you have been on the hunt for the perfect bronzy gold that's not too dark, that's also not too brassy. Sorry, I put way too much on my finger. This swatch could go on forever. Maybe it's a little bit more on the cool tone side, gonna be nice and brightening for your lid. Look at this shade right here. I'd almost call it like a taupey silvery bronze. It's so stunning. I actually have this all over my lid today. It is absolutely beautiful. Let me just pop a little bit more on the center. I ended up blending a darker shade that we're gonna get to in a sec all through my crease. I feel like I might have blended off some of that shine, but look at this beautiful bronze. It's kind of like a silvery nude bronze. It's kind of giving me Natasha Denona glam vibes, but it has all the wonderful qualities of a Sydney Grace metallic that I love so much. It's beautiful. I love it. You know I love Sydney Grace shadows. I say that every time. And there's another one coming up. Let's just get over with. You guys are gonna see a theme here of the type of shades that I love. So this is the Sydney Grace On the Horizon Light Palette. These are the Temptalia palettes that Sydney Grace did in collaboration with Temptalia. Oh, I love these palettes so much. I know I have complained about the Lisa Frank type packaging. I just don't think it's that cute, but the shadows. This is the shade that I wanted to mention today. There I go, already talking too much. So this is the shade Heart Dog. Now this one is a little bit on the brighter, more icy side than the one I just swatched, but it kind of reminds me of this one, just a little bit lighter. Just look at this beautiful kind of taupey silver. Again, I feel like these two shades are totally giving me Natasha Denona glam vibes, but with that exceptional Sydney Grace kind of liquid metal formula, it is beautiful. If you want something nice and brightening, still nice and cool tone, and it's also the type of shade that it's not so cool tone that you couldn't combine this with some browns through your crease or some warmer shades in the outer corner through the crease. It kind of has a good mix of both warm and cool because it has that kind of like taupey grayish undertone that just goes with anything. You could combine it with berries, pinks or purples or browns, really anything. Like, it's absolutely stunning. Let's hop over to the Heather Austin and Adept Cosmetics palette. You guys, there's a couple shades in here that I think are super special, super unique, but I have to specifically talk about this shade right here. This is shade Passport. I just got done talking about this palette in my recent ranking video, so I don't want to talk too much about this because I'll probably just repeat myself, but truly, these shadows are like duochromes amplified times 10. I mean, I think I said on steroids in the last video, but that really is like the best description of them. They are so incredibly intense and reflective and multi-dimensional in a way that nothing else I've ever tried is. This shade in particular I love because it has this beautiful soft kind of lavender undertone, but this like green and gold and blue iridescent reflect to it that is absolutely gorgeous. That does make it a very bold shade. I mean, this is a statement type of shade for sure, but I absolutely love it. I think it's gorgeous. Fantastic shade. This whole palette is very fun and unique and has some really amazing shades in it, but this one is just the perfect duochrome for the lid if you like that kind of mermaid scale type of look. Couple more. I've got to pull out an oldie. I've talked about the shade, I think, in other videos where I've talked about like favorite shades within my collection. It comes from a summertime favorite palette of mine, the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette. I am talking about this shade right here. This is the shade Carnelian. I actually kind of feel this way about all three of these like orangey yellows, but this one in particular, it is a color that I think would probably intimidate most people, but trust me, you guys, there is something about this. When you ground this with either a berry or a brown, either on your lash line or in your outer corner, and pop this just through your crease, kind of like your outer crease, then do something shimmery on the lid, this gives you the most beautiful, vibrant, but still wearable orange look that is just, it's so pretty on your eyes. This is a shade that when I opened this palette, I thought I would never, ever, ever, ever touch a shade like this because it just looks so kind of different and odd, and definitely not for those that are more into neutrals or don't like to do really bold, crazy things on their eyes. But thankfully, when I had this palette, I was doing the 7 looks videos, and I'm so glad that I did that when I had this palette because it forced me to touch the shades that would normally intimidate me And I learned that some of the shades that intimidate me a lot are sometimes not as intimidating as I think they're going to be. And this was definitely one of those shades. It's proven it to me time and time again. Every summer I pull this palette out. I think I've had this for like 3 or 4 years now. I absolutely love it. There's nothing in my collection that looks anything close to this. Okay, I've got one more. This one is newer to me. This shade comes from my tiny little Polly Pocket Pat McGrath Labs Midnight Voyage palette right here. I'm having so much fun with this little palette. But this shade, you guys, I knew the moment I swatched this shade on camera for you guys. This is my outer corner dream shade. I'm telling you guys, this kind of a like blackened purple berry brown. Oh, it just gives me such like happy feels. I love these types of shades in the outer corner. Look at that beautiful, beautiful color. It's purple, but it's kind of black. It looks like blackberries. It is so pretty. I actually have this on my outer corner today, and it just, see how it's kind of brown, but it's not obviously purple. It's one of those shades that kind of keeps you guessing. I love shades like that. Those are the shades that really just like win me over. And this is one of those. I love it. It performs great. It's fantastic. I love her matte formula. It's really easy to apply, really easy to build up rich intensity if you want that. Or if you want to go in with a lighter hand, you can definitely do that as well. So there they are, kind of an odd mixture of shades, but these are the ones that there's just been something about these shades that has really stood out to me lately. Like these are the ones that when I've used them or swatched them or played with them or done a look with them, there's something about them that's like, oh yes, that is definitely working for me. And I love when that happens, whether it be a lipstick or a blush or an eyeshadow. I just love when I find that perfect shade, and that's kind of what these are today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, kind of a different sort of mix of products today. I would love to know from you guys, do you guys have a shade of lip product or cheek product, like a bronzer or a blush or even an eyeshadow that is just like your go-to that really works for you or never lets you down? Let me know down in the comments below. Maybe there's one that you just can't stop using lately. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching today. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me give you one last reminder. If you have not yet subscribed, make sure to do that before you leave, but that's gonna do it for now. Thanks again. I will see you all in my next video. Bye. And leave me kind of guessing after I apply it, but performs really well.